Okay, so this is from homework 6.4, and I want to just talk about rotations and reflections with you all real fast. So let's start looking at this number 7 here. And it says, use the center of rotation point C. So this is going to be the point we're rotating around. And rotate point P clockwise around it 90 degrees and label that point P prime. So what we have to do is we have to see what the relationship to C, P is. And we see that P, to get from C to P, we have to go up 1 over 4. Okay? So we have to go up 1 over 4. Now, if I were to rotate it 90 degrees clockwise, that means I'm going this way. So how do I now find my P prime? Well, I kind of made this little triangle, this little L shape. I kind of have to view that as a door, and C is my hinge. And as that door opens 90 degrees this way, I see that it'll look something like this. I would now go 1 this way and up 1, 2, 3, 4 here, making this my P prime. Okay, does that make sense? Yeah?
The square that you found in the finish, right next to C, kind of where that.
So this is just rotated down. This was, if we view this as the short leg of a triangle, now that short leg is right here. This was the long leg, and so if that opened up like that, now that's the long leg. So P prime becomes this point here, which is, what is that, -1, 5? Okay. So now it says with point C as the center, so we're still going to let C be the center. It says, asks us to rotate P 180 degrees. 180 degrees. So that means all the way around. So instead of going just 90 degrees, we're going to continue it all the way. And so what that means is that would create a line. So if I go this way, 4, and then down 1, if I were to go again over 4, down 1, this would create a straight line through P, C, and now P double prime. If we were to continue to view the triangle, we see that this first step, this 90 degrees, I would then continue at another 90 degrees. So it would hinge down like this, and then continue on like that. All right, so that's how we would do those rotations, one step at a time. But do notice how P prime, C, and P now create a straight line through them. Whereas P and P prime, that creates a perpendicular relationship. That's a 90-degree angle. Next. Let's go to number 9. So this first part asks, what is the equation for the line for reflection that reflects P onto P prime? So in between P and P prime, we can imagine that there is some sort of mirror. There is a line that shows that mirrored relationship. So the first thing I have to do is I have to look at this relationship here. And I see that that rises 0 and runs infinitely. Okay? Now, if I were to invert that to find a perpendicular, well, that becomes undefined, because now I have this vertical line going on infinitely, but being divided by 0. But I can see by our base agreement that horizontal and vertical lines are perpendicular, that that's going to be my line of reflection. It's 3 away from P, it's 3 away from P prime. The equation of this vertical line is where x equals 0. That is a 0. Why is it a 0? As I go from P to P prime, how much do I change vertically? 0. So thus I wrote a 0. I know, but I don't want you to just copy down what's written down, because that's not learning. You have to understand the concept. So why would I write 0 there? And I want to make sure that you understand that. That is infinitely more important than just copying down things that you see. Okay? Yeah, Carol. What if we were to view it as a line? It would go on forever, right? Because like from P here to here to here, like it just goes on forever. Okay. And it wouldn't matter anyway, because 0 divided by any number would be 0. Yeah. You cannot. This is it, right? Because if we do the perpendicular, suddenly we have negative infinity over 0. And we cannot divide by 0. It makes no sense. Okay? Ask. How many of you guys have an iPhone? Ask Siri to divide by 0 anytime you want. Right? It doesn't make any sense to divide by 0. And thus it's undefined. And thus we do not have a slope. We have to rewrite the way we do that. Alessandra? Y equals 0 is this line. Okay, x equals 0 is that line. Okay, does that make sense? So actually, when you look at B, what is the equation of the line of reflection that reflects P prime? So this point onto P prime prime. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. We see that this one is y equals 0. This becomes our mirror point. Just wanted to talk about those cases with you guys, because I know that sometimes these y equals 0 or x equals 0 sometimes trip us up, and I want to make sure that we understand what's going on here. When we're looking at x equals 0, we're talking about this line right here, and then when we're talking about y equals 0, we're talking about this line right there. I think you guys can handle C. This is just rotation. And so to get from P to P double prime, it's asking you to rotate it. I'm going to let you guys do that on your own. It's very similar to the ones that we just did.